independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. I just won one of the greatest elections of all time in the history of this country.
History.
And even you will admit that. And now I have somebody writing a report that never got a vote. It's called the Mueller Report. So explain that, because my voters don't get it.
Boom. And that right there, the last little bit of this. I want you guys to listen to this last little bit.
So explain that, because my voters don't get it.
Don't care. Don't get it. Don't care. We're moving on. They don't care what's in the Mueller report. If it's bad, they don't believe it. If it's good, they're going to laugh and say, told you so. But either way, they don't really care. And most of the people I talk to, they don't care. But, Chad, we should care about our democracy in this country. Of course we should. I've yet to meet a single human being whose mind was changed because of the quote-unquote collusion or the hacking or the fake media stuff. Here, you want to know the biggest argument against any of this stuff? We knew everything about these people from top to bottom. Everything about them. But what about the Access Hollywood tapes? Come on. We knew everything about Hillary Clinton, and you knew everything about Trump. How many times he's been divorced. Well, Chad, he paid out hookers. Oh, you didn't think there was issues? Have you not read any of the back pages in New York in 50 years? This is what this guy did for years. You knew who he was. Name recognition, familiarity. We knew everything about everything that we needed to know. Nothing was changed. If it was two unknown candidates, you may have an issue here where you could say, well, I could see how people's minds were changed. But people made up their minds. And the people that like Trump, his folk,
my voters don't get it.
They don't get it, and they don't care. They don't get it, and they don't care. And the average person looks around and goes, I don't care. I have other stuff going on. I do. Speaking of other stuff, he's old and he's reliable.
It feels like Joe Biden is the reliable sedan, and there are 17 other cars that these Iowans are going to test drive, and Joe Biden better hope that they don't like them after a while and they come back to the reliable sedan.
I think he'd make a good vice president.
Well, he was vice president.
I know.
Okay.
We need to go for some youth, some younger, and I was very impressed with Beto and all of his responses that I heard him talk about so far.
What does he talk about? Beto doesn't talk about anything. Beto just does the usual, hey, guys, marijuana's going to be legal. We're going to do all that. People ask him questions, and he'll give you that same kind of stat answer. I'm traveling around. I want to see what the people really want. I want to understand. We need to fix the climate. Okay, but how do we do it? We need justice reform. All right, how do we do it? We just passed justice reform. Bipartisan, by the way. Big thing. But what else do we do? Right? Now, granted, some of that is the fact that most people don't care about the details. Let's be real. If people really cared about the details, you wouldn't watch Fox, MSNBC, CNN. You'd watch C-SPAN. Right? That's what you would watch. But you don't. Details are boring. Sell the sizzle, not the steak. I get that. Some people want to know about the steak. But by and large, you got to sell in mass. And does Joe have the in mass to get it out there? There's Joe Biden, right? Are you riding with Biden? He's needing help raising money. His worry is the modern world of technology is going to outdo him. My prediction is Joe's getting in and out fast. If it's not going well early, he ain't sticking around. He isn't. But 77? Bernie's 78? That doesn't feel like it's new blood.
There is a desire for a new generation of leadership, but you have millennials who are going to be a large swath of our Democratic vote, and no longer sort of the large potential swath of voters in our country. They're looking for someone who can best connect with them, and they're looking for a new generation of leadership. I think the Biden team will be challenged to sort of how they come across as fresh and new.
What you have to do and one thing that Bernie has done is he has surrounded himself with a bunch of young millennial people that get it. If you're going to be in this, in a situation where we're reaching younger voters, you have to say, how do I think outside the box enough that I can reach people that are potentially 60 years younger than me and get them interested, right? Think about this. What did you have in common with your grandpa or grandma other than name when they were 78 and you were 18? Or they were 82 and you were 22? How do you get them interest? Not that the first thing is they've got experience. That's great. They understand. But the problem is they understand and you think the world's a mess and part of this mess is your fault. So how do you get around that? You've got to definitely put people in a position where they can reach out across the board. And you have that swath he talks about. It's not just millennials, although they're going to be a huge voting bloc, the biggest. It's also Gen Xers, and you get it with the baby boomers. You understand that. How are you going to go about doing that? And I don't know if Joe has that kind of thing. Like, Joe was always one of those things where he was fun. He was, he was the bit of the old, while Obama was a bit of the new. They want new. They don't want old. They want new. And can he be that? I don't know. I think he'd be a hell of a run against Donald Trump, the president. The problem is I don't think he can get out of this mass of young and up-and-comers who want change and look at him as, thank you for working with Obama, thank you for serving our country, but you got to go.
And a lot of voters, quite frankly, are looking for change, and elections are always about the future, and for Democrats seem to always be about change. And how does he fit that change and that fresh niche, and not the niche of the establishment candidate? Because I think if you're the establishment candidate in the primary this season, you're dead.
Yeah. And you're a white dude. Let's not forget that. You're a white guy. Now, you've not started your apology tour, and I think you may get a bit of a pass on the apology side of things that Beto isn't, because you are 77. You've served as long as you have. You may get a bit of a pass that you're not going to have to go out and apologize in a way that Beto's going to have to, because you're the reason for Beto's there because of people like you. He's enjoyed white privilege because of that generation churning out Beto's. So Beto will have to apologize a lot more. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So I was laughing hard. The whole thought process of what Bob Kraft should or shouldn't do is interesting, in the sense that here's a guy who's worth billions of dollars, 6 Super Bowls, right, as the owner of the Patriots, philanthropist, he's been single for a few years, was married forever and a day, and his wife passed away, was having fun, enjoyed himself in a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, gets caught up in this thing in Miami, and then they offer him this bizarre deal that happens a lot more than people realize, but it's a very interesting thing.
Kraft has pleaded not guilty to the charges. A Patriots spokesman saying Kraft did not do anything illegal. To be clear, this would not be a guilty plea. It's called a deferred prosecution agreement that's been offered to Kraft and 24 other men charged in the case. So far, no comment as to whether Kraft would accept the deal. But if he goes to trial, Kraft faces up to 60 days in jail if convicted.
Yeah, never going to happen. And Bob Kraft apparently said, yeah, no, I'm not going to take that. Nah, I don't want that. Nah, I think I'll fight it. Because I know I'm going to win. Because if I take a guilty plea, I'm going to be suspended from the thing I love the most, which isn't Asian women in massage parlors. It's my football team. So I'm going to say no, and I'm going to fight it, and I have the money, and you probably wouldn't be offering me something like this if you thought that you could really beat me in court, and you're going to have to go a long way, because chances are we've seen the same thing you've seen, and as far as the tapes, and we kind of know what's going on. So I have a feeling I'm going to beat this thing. And what do you think of those apples? Just right to his. What do you think of that? You got a problem with that? Yeah, I'll take you on. I'll take you on. Everybody's like, well, it's got to be about money. I said, well, I don't think it was 24 billionaires that got caught up in something like this. I just think I still have a hard time in a situation like this where this whole talk about, oh, it's human trafficking and it's all of these things. And I'm like, you waited 6 months to make a move? You waited 6 months to do any of these things, and you're worried about human trafficking? You waited 6 months? You had to go get warrants, and you taped the place, and you did all of these, and you were pulling people over, and you waited 6 months? Somebody's like, what would you have done if it was you? If it was me that got pulled over and I did something like this, the next day I went there, I'd go out there with a giant sign and says, the cops have this place totally sussed out. Don't go here. Oh, Chad, you are crazy. Just looking out for my man. Looking out for my Johns. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hope you had a wonderful night. Last night, the NCAA tournament kicked itself off. God, the amount of money, I was looking at it, the amount of money that we not only gamble, but is lost during the NCAA tournament is crazy. But then they started going over how much money the coaches make. And then you look and the kids don't get a thing. And people are still bitching about that. Well, kids get a free education. That's part of it. Well, they should be. My biggest issue with the NCAA has always been they shouldn't get anything from the college whatsoever. You get your education. Maybe you get a little stipend because you can't work. That's the one thing that differs from the average student is you can't have a job. So maybe you should get be able to get grant money or something that, that they're given to sustain themselves so they can enjoy, go out and get a burger or something like that. But you should always be able to make money off your likeness. You should, if it's my picture, if it's my autograph, I should be able to make money off that. And as far as signing like endorsement deals, I think you should be able to sign endorsement deals, and that money should be put into trust. And then when you leave college and or graduate, you should be allowed to. But man, if somebody takes a picture and wants an autograph, they want to give you $100. I find that ridiculous. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Who's going to be the Cinderella? Now, Producer Phil, did you fill out your bracket yet? I did mine already.
I filled mine out.
Okay, now, or you like me, no matter how hard you tried, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't eliminate Duke, but you were totally dead set against Duke.
I was dead set against Duke, but I got him going pretty deep.
Yeah,
because
no matter how hard I tried. Well, you can't. You're not stupid. The fact is they've got the best three players potentially in basketball and easily the best guy. And in a sport where one guy makes all that difference, what do you say? No? He's going to be a B. Who do you have winning it?
I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm waiting for.
You haven't gotten that far yet? I've gotten that far with mine. I don't even know if I'm eliminated because the play-in games were last night. I might already be eliminated. 323-538-2423. Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Butcher Box, baby. Thinking if you're going to watch the NCAA basketball tournament, might as well have some good tasty food. Butcher Box is that food right there. What kind of food is it? The best meats, unparalleled nutrition, unbelievable flavor, best cuts, best quality. Less than $6 for a month's worth of meals. So think about this. Every meal is less than $6, and it's the best kind of meat. It's the best kind of quality. They work with only the best farms who are committed to raising animals in a humane way, ensured that there's an ethical process in what they do, better tasting, better quality, more nutrient-dense meat, no hormones or antibiotics added ever. Grass-fed, grass-finished beef, organic, free-ranging chicken, wild-caught Alaskan salmon. You're going to love it. It's incredible. 20 different cuts of meat. Grab yours now. It's a box worth. Comes to you. Free shipping. And this is what they're doing for my listeners. Free ground beef for the life of your subscription. $20 off your first box when you sign up. Boom! ButcherBox.com/Chad. 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 It's the Chad Benson Show.
Deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
Your husband has been tweeting his concerns about the president's mental fitness for office. Are those concerns that you share, or how do you deal with?
No, I don't share those concerns. And I have 4 kids, and I was getting out of the house this morning before I got here and talked to the president about substance. So I may not be up to speed on all of them.
Okay, so that is Kellyanne Conway. President Trump today talked about that. So you got Kellyanne Conway, one of his closest confidants, somebody who's been there since jump, literally has been there since the beginning. Her husband is the biggest troll to Donald Trump that may be out there, all the time trolling him, all the time saying horrible things. She has to go home at night and look at him. It is bizarre. When asked today, now remember, she's one of his biggest confidants. They are extremely tight. He's the president of the United States. She's married to a guy, though, who can't stand him. And when asked today about George Conway, here's Trump's response.
I don't know him. He's a whack job. There's no question about it, but I really don't know him.
How do you go home at night? How do you go home at night? You know, the first thing that popped in my mind, and I know Jim Kennedy, who oddly enough looks a little bit like George Conway. First thing that popped in my mind when I saw this, if any of you guys have ever seen the TV show Billions, which is the best show on television. And in the show Billions, there's like the AG of New York who is trying to take down this big hedge fund guy named Bobby Axelrod. And he runs this huge hedge fund, and the AG's wife actually works for Axelrod. And it's this weird kind of relationship, and it's got to be that way. She goes home at night, and what does she say? Right? I'm sure she had other things she'd rather be doing right now, but this is what she feels she can do. She likes the president. She loves him. Maybe he's jealous of the Donald. I don't know, but he's a whack job. That's what your boss thinks of your husband. And your husband thinks he's a whack job. And you've got to go home and be in the center of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Can you be too woke? I don't know if I could be too woke. But some people think the wokeness is there. We've got the happiest countries on the earth. Who could it be? Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Police will be ready to crack down. If anyone is caught with an open container, they will ask them to pour it out. If they refuse, they'll be arrested right there on the spot. The city desperately wants to get this under control.
Miami's getting ready. Everybody's getting ready for spring break. You know what's weird is everybody seems to be on spring break at a different time. I don't know about you, producer, but when I was a kid growing up, you were either off the week before Easter or the week after. Now it seems that there's spring break that starts like March and seems to go all the way through till the beginning of May.
Yeah, it's weird how that works.
I don't quite get it. I know Jack has next week off. My little brothers and sisters, some of them are already off. Other ones don't have it till the Easter week. And the colleges, you know, they're partying around the country, and I've already seen they've been partying to Mexico for God knows how long. And now Florida and everybody's getting ready. And the interns we have here, they've been on spring break. They were on spring break like 2 weeks ago. It's crazy. It is wacky. I just don't. I don't know. I don't get it anymore. It used to be just so simple, right? It's like, this is what you had off, right? When I was a kid, it's like you knew the days you had off going into the year. Now it's like, well, every other Friday you have off because it's a teacher day, and then every Thursday's a half day, and then you get off like a week for this and then a week for that, and just like, oh, God. It used to be just so easy. It's like, look, you started in September, you got out in June. In between, you probably had 2-3 weeks off, and everybody just went to school. That's why we didn't have problems. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Producer Phil sent me a very interesting article about the wackiness of the intranet, if you will, the internet kids getting on the internet trying to be influencers. And it's from Cracked, which always has funny stories, but it talks about the absurdity and the overdoing it and what people will do to be part of an influencer world. And, it talks about the fact that there's an apartment you can rent for $15,000. It's 2,400 square feet. It's a penthouse, but it's so you can show how influential you are, right? It's totally, everything is done up in a way where, it's perfect and there's cameras everywhere, and it's just, it paints the picture of perfection and just talks about the insanity that people are willing to do. It's crazy. What people are willing to try and do because they want their 15 minutes of fame. And that's, Andy Warhol said everybody gets 15 minutes of fame. And then I think Daniel Tosh said, well, it's averaged, right? Like some people may have 50 years of fame and other people may get a millisecond. So it's just we're averaging that thing out. But everybody wants their fame. And case in point, there's a woman here who's a disgusting, vile individual who had adopted 7 kids. And the story is not for the faint of heart because she wanted to be an influencer. And these are just some of the things and the stuff that she's been charged with. And we'll talk about what she tried to force them to do.
This mom is accused of pepper spraying her children and locking them in a closet for days at a time with no food, water, or the ability to even go to the bathroom, in addition to many other things. Pinal County court documents reveal that Michelle Hackney's biological daughter called police after one of her adopted sisters said their mom was abusing them at their Maricopa home. Authorities finding 7 children who appear to be malnourished and underweight, who were also thirsty and hungry.
Yeah. So you got these kids who are being pepper sprayed. You got these kids who are being abused. You got these kids who are just, it's awful, 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 awful what mom wanted to do to them because she was mad, right? She has 3, by the sounds of it, biological children, and the adult daughter turned them in. But why would she do something like this? She's just an awful, horrible human being.
Now, all of the children telling police that they had to participate in their mom's YouTube channel, which has nearly 800,000 subscribers and almost 250 million views. The kids claiming Hackney disciplined them for not recalling lines or not participating as directed. Hackney's 2 adult sons are charged with failing to report. In court paperwork, Logan Hackney admits to knowing about this punishment and observing visible physical injuries. Hackney denies using the closet for punishment and denies the pepper spraying, even though cops found 2 cans in her room along with a deadbolt on the closet door.
Yeah, think about that for a second. So she was pissed at them because they couldn't be the perfection that she wanted for her YouTube channel, which had almost 800,000 subscribers, 250 million views. Since she started, she's probably made about $250,000 plus. I think they say you get about $8,000 for every million views is what they say they average it out about. But it's this drive and want to have fame that is insane. Right? And I go through it with Jack. When you're a kid growing up, a lot of people think, I want to be a fireman, I want to this, that, but you go through the point where it's like, I want to be a rock star, I'd like to be a TV star, a movie star. But there was always this thought, well, it's like you have to have something, right? You have to be able to act. You have to have a look about you. Good looking obviously helps. If you can act and sing and dance and be good looking, that's you just won, right? You've hit a grand slam. But there had to be something about you. Nowadays, it's anybody, and everybody's got a camera. Everybody's got a phone. Everybody feels they could be an influencer. Everybody wants to participate, and it's nuts. It's insane. And you push people to do things over and over and over and over again. That's why every year we see people, and it's not even just for famous sake, right? There are people that are going to put themselves today in harm's way around the globe to take the perfect selfie. We had a woman out here a couple weeks ago who got too close to the Jaguar enclosure. Right? She hopped the fence so she could get the perfect selfie. She didn't die, but she got scratched the hell up because that's what it's about, the likes. It's this bizarreness. And we talk about the pressure of kids and trying to get them in the colleges. Now it's the pressure of you need to, that kid who just plays with toys is making $18 million a year. Johnny, why aren't you doing stuff like that? It's nuts because parents and everybody, it's what can we do? What can we do? Give us a camera. Give us a camera. I don't have any actual skills whatsoever. Just give me a camera, though, and I can show the world that I don't have any actual skills whatsoever. People will love it. They'll just eat it up. That 15 minutes of fame. Again, it's averaged out, people. Not everybody gets it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Can we be too woke? Can you be too woke? That is, I think, is a really funny question. If you could be too woke. Beto is an interesting character, right? He's on his apology tour. I don't care. I don't even think people care if he has any kind of real substance behind any of the things that he's throwing out there. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. Again, he's on this apology tour and always having to apologize about being a white person.
You have admitted that, hey, you're in a party right now that isn't necessarily interested in a white male candidate, and that George sort of added disadvantage in that. What do you say to it?
Yeah, I would never begin by saying I'm at any disadvantage at all. As a white man who has had privileges that others could not depend on or take for granted, I've clearly had advantages over the course of my life.
Okay, so he's had advantages over the course of his life. Big time. Trevor Noah, though, is making fun of the fact that his candidacy is I'm running for president, people cheer, now the apologies begin.
He doesn't want to risk offending anyone with his past writings. In fact, he doesn't want to offend anybody. He spent the weekend apologizing for that and about 50 other things.
I'm mortified to read it now, incredibly embarrassed, but I have to take ownership of my words and understand the way that they make people feel when they read them now.
I saw the cover with that quote, born to run, and I was like, man, I hope I didn't say that. I don't know that anyone is born for an office or position.
Wow, this guy's apologizing for everything. Yeah. Soon he's going to start apologizing for stuff he didn't even do.
Yeah, absolutely. And the stuff that he wrote about when he was a kid, if in black and white, it's awful, but it's this wokeness, right? Like, so we have to be so woke that we spend the entire time apologizing for everything. And I think there's a point where and this is why I think Biden has a little bit of traction for a lot of people, because still, even though the loud voices in the room are sucking up all the oxygen, there's still the minority in both parties, right? They get the press. They're loud. They're screaming and yelling. People are looking at them. The rest of everybody else is doing their thing. But when it comes to voting time, that large swath on both sides that is just the run-of-the-mill Republican or independent or Democrat far outnumber the rest. And that's why somebody like Biden polls well, even though he's not super woke. Hell, sometimes we have to just see if we can woke him up. Chad, are you saying he's old? I'm joking. But people don't want you to be that woke. They want you to understand, but they don't want you to bow down every time somebody says something. And yeah, I think it's at the point now where it's so ridiculous that the wokeness, there's some insanity.
People literally wanted Beto O'Rourke to apologize because he said about the presidential race, I was born for this. And they were like, that's white privilege. Are you saying the presidency is your birthright? No, born for this is a figure of speech. This shit is getting ridiculous. This is not wokeness. This is insanity.
Yeah, it is. It is. I was talking to somebody who's working on one of the campaigns or potential campaigns, and one of the things that they're doing is they're going through, normally they would go through and say, okay, what are some of the things in the stumbling blocks that could hurt us out the gate? What are some of the things that we're going to have to be aware of, that we're going to have to deal with down the line, that could be that surprise element that comes out? Now what they're doing is they're going out there and saying, what are the things that we're going to have to apologize, and in what order are we going to have to apologize for them? And it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, somebody comes and yells at you for something you didn't do, like Chelsea Clinton the other day, and you've got to apologize for something that you had nothing to do with because you feel like that's what you have to do. That's just, talk about influence. Woo. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. The quote of the day has to be from President Trump. When asked about George Conway, who is the husband of one of his closest confidants, Kellyanne Conway, who trolls Trump on a daily basis and in only Trumpian manner. Can he say something like this?
I don't know him. He's a whack job.
I don't know him, but he's a whack job. God, at night just must be so bizarre to be home. Don't. Did you hear what he said today? Yes, I heard what he said. I was standing behind him. But did you really hear it? Yes, I don't. That's how are the kids? How are the kids? How are the kids? How long do you think this marriage lasts? That's a question right there. Do you think this thing has got, do we have staying power here? Do we have staying power? And I want to read what his book is going to be about. Because he's put together an amazing book of behind the scenes, just from her eyes, if you will, and the things that he hears that he's not going to talk about. But the minute she leaves, he's going to get 7 figures to unleash a book. And if he's still in the White House, that's nuts. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Decade ago, AMAC was founded as the alternative to the left-leaning AARP, AARP. Like AARP, though, right? AMAC is cheap, super cheap, less than $20 a year. But the membership, woo, what you get for it. You make up for that 10 times over. And when you choose AMAC, you're choosing an organization that stands for your values, like protecting our borders with common sense immigration reform, getting rid of Obamacare and replacing with something much better. And that's why I choose AMAC. AMAC has been great to my family and friends, and they will be great to you. And here's a great thing, too. You're not going to pay a penny for it. Yeah, wait till you hear this. They're more than just a political advocacy group, an organization. What they do is they have travel discounts, competitively priced insurance, roadside assistance, travel, retail, restaurant, you name it, they've got it, and then some. Again, 10 times over, you're going to make up what it would cost if you were to pay anything for your membership, and you're not paying a thing. Right now, you get 1-year membership on me. You don't even want your credit card. None of that stuff. No tricks, none of that stuff. Just sign up. It is worth your time it takes to sign up. Go to amac.us/Chad. Receive your first year for free. That's amac.us/Chad. Or you can call them at 888-355-1668. That's 888-355-1668 or amac.us/Chad. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like...
So we got the ranking of the happiest places on the planet. Who's happy? Who's not happy? Oh, my Lord. By the way, we're number 14. No, we were number 14. We're number 18. Not as happy as we used to be, kids. Here are the 10 happiest countries on planet Earth. Austria, 10. Canada, how's it going, eh? Number 9. New Zealand, number 8. Should ask them now. Sweden, 7. Switzerland, 6. Holland, 5. That's Netherlands, for those of you. Norway, 3. Denmark, 2. Finland, 1. I was reading about why the Finnish people are so happy. And they said because we live an ordinary life. Nobody gets above too much. Nobody gets below too much. And we're all kind of going in the same direction. So there's just this feeling of contentment. That's fair, right? I think that's... And this is where if you're the left side of the aisle... You need to figure out how you pitch the dream of being Scandinavian, which is what they're always, pitching the dream to be, which is, hey, I want to be Scandinavian. How do you do that? Well, you talk about that. Our whole goal is not to leave anybody behind and maybe not to let anybody get too far ahead. And you know, we don't want to discourage people from moving ahead, but understand that their place of moving ahead is in the community and also to help people out along the way rather than, oh, it's the rich are bad and we need to take for them, and to discourage things like that and to make everybody a victim. It doesn't work that way. The other thing is, and I always remind everybody this, I'm going to tell you guys this. Listen to this right now. Austria, Canada, New Zealand, Sweden, Switzerland, Netherlands, Iceland, Norway, Denmark, Finland. What are they? Monolithic societies. Pretty much singular, very, very, very one-dimensional societies, right? Out of those, and do you think Canada's being the most diverse society in the world? Probably not. Holland, it's getting there. But you ask the people in Holland, how are they feeling about situations? And you ask Iceland, Norway, and Denmark and Finland, as they're dealing with certain situations, as they become more diverse, they become more uncomfortable with a lot of these things. Who's the least happiest? South Sudan. They're 156th. Haiti, Botswana, Syria, Malawi, Yemen, Rwanda, Tanzania, Afghanistan, Central African Republic, all not doing well. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. $550 million for Powerball. This is when you get involved. Tonight's the night. $1 changes your life. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I tell you, I have many millions of followers on Twitter, and it's different than it used to be. Things are happening. Names are taken off. People aren't getting through. You've heard the same complaints. And it seems to be if they're conservative, if they're Republicans, if they're in a certain group, there's discrimination and big discrimination.
You know what? Here's where I agree with the president. He's right. We talked a bit about this yesterday, and this is going to be something going forward that is going to be a much bigger issue than people realize. Because this last election, you saw the power of social media, both the good and the bad. Let's be honest. The Russians and many other outside influences, people with nefarious ideas and wants, tried to influence us. People that are full of crap, people that are trolls, played games across the board. It wasn't just outside influences. People within our own country did that. But social media is massive, and it's only getting bigger. And the influence that it can have, both good and bad, is there. But when you have a group of people who can control the conversation on who sees what, how many people see what, that's something that I think it's fair that we talk about. They can tell everybody, oh, well, we've done internal investigations, and our internal investigations turn up and say that there's nothing here, right, that shows that there's anything really being done to conservatives. I call BS on that. I absolutely call BS on it. The reality is there is a game that's being played. The reality is there is things that are happening to conservatives. And I look back to Dennis Prager, who does his Prager University, who gets millions of views on when he releases his Prager University. They do these little things. It's Corolla, sometimes it's Shapiro, and you know, some people will pop in and do these Prager University things. Dennis, you've never asked me. I'm just saying. But at one time, he released one of his videos. I don't know if it was him and Adam Carolla or somebody, and there was no views on it. You can't tell me there's not something happening. There is. They've readily admitted they're left-leaning in Silicon Valley. They know they are. And because of that, if you post something that they deem to be too wrong, or maybe, let's just say, they feel it goes against they're looking at it and say, I could leave it. It's not evil. It's not bad. But at the same time, it's because of the politics of it all. I don't know if we're allowed to dead, so I'll get rid of it. And somebody on the left could post something very similar, and they'll go, but I believe in that, so I'm going to let that go. When you have human beings making judgments like this, their biases will come in to play. That is the reality of it, right?
We use the word collusion very loosely all the time, and I will tell you there is collusion with respect to that, because something has to be going on. It's collusive, and it's very, very fair to say that we have to do something about it.
What do you do, though? It's a private company. They can do what they want. The argument is, and Nunez is trying to make this, is you guys have stopped being the private company that you once were. You are now a company that is essentially the town square. You've allowed this. You've content created. You've done these kind of things. You've gotten yourself into a position now where you're no longer this private entity that can do these things. You've allowed yourself to become such a fabric of our society that in stopping one side, in quieting one side, in doing what you're doing, you are showing that there's bias and that this shouldn't happen, that maybe you should be regulated. And this is the thing. The libertarian in me says, it's their company, do what they want. The person in me who's been suspended for things that are ridiculous, like something I posted 18 months ago, and then you get something saying we deem this to be offensive now. I sit back and I'm like, oh God, it's crazy. And I've had people from Facebook, I've had people from Twitter, I've had people from Instagram contact me and say, all somebody has to do is make a complaint here or there and you're done. And that's something that's scary. Because when you think about what's coming up, when you think about the race that's about to happen, and you think about the fact that these large entities can control so much of the flow of information and how we receive it nowadays, that potentially is a scary thing. I wrestle with this all the time. A lot of people wrestle with this all the time. What do you do? What do you not do? What do you do? Because it's a private company, right? It's like the same thing. If the person wants to bake cakes, blah, blah, blah. The difference is the person wants to bake a cake for people who are Christians and they don't believe in marriage equality. If it's the only baker in town, there's an issue there. Right? I see that. If there's 28 bakers in towns for you to go to, and they'll all bake you a cake, then there you go. You got a different choice. There is no other choice here. That's the problem that so many people have. There is no other Facebook alternative that's worth a damn. There is no other, place where you can go if it's worth a damn on Twitter, Instagram. There just isn't. And the places that are out there are for the fringe of the QAnon and 4chan and all of these other places where the white supremacists are and these radicalized groups that they go to. That's the uncomfortable part in a situation like this. But the reality is, as we move forward in this day and age, and it becomes more and more evident how the role, especially as the millennials are becoming such a large swath of what's going to be voting in the coming elections, and they're getting their information, and most of us getting information from the internet, and you only have a few choices where you can discuss and talk and do these kind of things. And in my business and other people in my business, when this gets to the point where the control is so massive, it is a worrisome thing. It really, really is. And I know, trust me, one of the people that contact me from doing my show for the Sacramento market, several that live in Silicon Valley, and they listen, and they say that they'd love to get rid of the president. If they could do that, they would. But they know it's not them themselves, but people inside. If they could, they would love that. But they know they can't. But it shows you what's going on there and the battle that's in front of people in this day and age to deal with things like social media. And when you've got Elizabeth Warren saying we need to break it up, there's something there that people should pay attention to if you're in Silicon Valley is we better watch out, because if the left and the right are coming from us, we stand no chance.
It feels like Joe Biden is the reliable sedan, and there are 17 other cars that these Iowans are going to test drive, and Joe Biden better hope that they don't like them after a while and they come back to the reliable sedan.
I think he'd make a good vice president.
Well, he was vice president.
I know.
Okay.
We need to go for some youth, some younger, and I was very impressed with Beto and all of his responses that I heard him talk about so far.
Beto's got no responses. He doesn't. He's just, it's platitudes. It's just, which at this point in time, what more do you want? Right? Like Bobby Jindal, who a lot of people on the Republican side thought was going to be the dude, right? A lot of people liked him as a guy from Louisiana. He's articulate. The guy's kind of like a Beto before Beto. He's just got this, a great story, immigrant family, the whole 9 yards. When he came to the party to run for president, he brought with him all of his charts, all of his wonkiness, and nobody cared, and it fell on deaf ears. It's the cult of personality. The old reliable. The thing that's going to get you there. You understand that. And I think a lot of people in the Democratic Party who are in that mid-level range of the 40, 50, 60, 70-year-olds who don't look, they understand they want to deal with climate change, but they also understand that it destroying our world, you need a bit of a firm hand as well as the progressiveness and the empathy. How do you come that together? They're looking at him. But in this day and age, you need that Green Deal. You need that progressivism, and you need that essentially the kissing of the ring, the pass the torch to get that blessing. And I don't think this younger generation wants that. He may be able to raise money. He may be able to get off to a good start, but this is my prediction. If it doesn't go well fast for Joe, he'll get in and he'll get out fast. And he's 70, he'd be 77 when he becomes president? Something like that. I mean, if you're a younger generation, I get it. Trust me, I look around. If I'm a younger generation voter, and by that, I mean, look, I'm still like 48 years old. I look around and say, okay, well, who would I like? Right? Like if Trump's not running, and I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Kasich, right? But let's just say that we're starting fresh and new. Neither side has a choice. Who represents me the best on a lot of issues, but also gets me on a human level, understands some of the stuff in a way that's real in today's world? 77 ain't doing it for me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hope you're having a wonderful day. A lot of stuff to get to. We're going to get as much as – sometimes you get these days where the bucket overfloweth and you think, well, man, this is good. I can maybe hold some of this stuff over because you're picking and choosing a lot of things today. And I love that. And I love the fact that it's not big stuff, not stuff breaking, because the reality is there's so many other things, but politics in this day and age sucks so much of the air out of the room sometimes. It can be frustrating. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Slept on my Giza sheets last night from My Pillow, kids. Let me tell you something. First and foremost, how many of you out there have got sheets? You bring them home, try to put them on your bed, and they don't fit. A lot of us. But it says on the package. I know. So that's the first frustration. But it's the feel. Goodness me. Giza cotton sheets. Incredible. Full night's rest. Without trouble. Fixing my sheets. Don't have to worry about that. Like, perfect examples this weekend. I went to stayed at a hotel that I absolutely love. And with the family. We're down in San Diego. We're having fun. And they tuck everything in. And you know, it's like, goodness me. Just so you undo them and the sheets pop off and it drives me crazy. With these sheets from My Pillow, these Giza sheets, first of all, you slide into them. They're so soothed, so soft. It's incredible. Breathable, keep you cool in the summer, warm in the winter, durable, but they got those deep pockets and they fit like there's no other. That is incredible. What are you waiting for? To get them right here. Made in the USA, 100% machine washable and dryable. Get your Giza cotton sheets today. Call 800-983-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. It's MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Kraft has pleaded not guilty to the charges. A Patriot spokesman saying Kraft did not do anything illegal. To be clear, this would not be a guilty plea. It's called a deferred prosecution agreement that's been offered to Kraft and 24 other men charged in the case. So far, no comment as to whether Kraft would accept the deal. But if he goes to trial, Kraft faces up to 60 days in jail if convicted.
I don't know what he's going to do. Bob Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, arrested and, I don't think it was he arrested. He was just charged with solicitation of a prostitute. And I think he's going to fight it. I think he looks and thinks, you know what? I'm going to fight this. You want to tell me that what you want, essentially, and again, this has been done and it gets done all the time, is you're guilty. We know you're guilty. The thought of having a trial and doing any of these things is ridiculous. Just go on the record and say, yeah, I did it. And we'll say, all right, that's enough for us. And it makes you ask the question, again, of this is supposed to be this big human trafficking thing. You've got 24 other men that are essentially offered the same deal. So it's not, Jen, I don't think all of them are billionaires. I think the issue is, I think they realize, look, we could face some serious pushback here because I don't think we have any conversation. It's grown adults in a room. He could have said, hey, I was giving him $100, told him go get lunch on me, and I wandered away. I don't know what his fight would be because I'm not in that situation of having just $100 laying around to throw around to somebody. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I think he's going to fight it. It's another reason that I just look at something and say, you know what? Why do we play this pretend game when it comes to something like prostitution? Why can't we just go, you guys are grown adults. You do what you want to do. Bring it out of the shadows. Tax it. Put it in areas where kids and people can't be around it. And you know why people are going there, like the red light district in Amsterdam, and which has become more or less just a place where people go and hang out, and it's kind of like a touristy place. Trust me, I know that from being a child. It's not like it once was, but just like, can we be adults about situations like this anymore? I mean, I think it's a fair question to ask. Can we not be adults?
And I know people all over the world are going to be in an uproar and debating whether or not Michael Jackson did these things or not, whether these two men are lying or not lying. But for me, this moment transcends Michael Jackson. It is much bigger than any one person. This is a moment in time that allows us to see this societal corruption. It's like a scourge on humanity.
Oprah Winfrey right there talking, because she's still getting pushback and blowback from a lot of people about Michael Jackson. And now people that once defended him are no longer defending him. His daughter is having issues. This is an ugly situation. And what he did, allegedly, is evil and wrong. And it's time that he pays his due. Right? The fight is there from a lot of people who love the man they never knew because they love the music, because they identify with that music in a day and age where they, for whatever reasons, again, the greatest time machine in the world that we have is music. It takes you back to those days and age. I listen to music and I go, oh, I remember that summer. I remember this, that, and the other. But the reality is this guy's a bad dude, right? Allegedly, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And all the people I hear defend him, I ask the same question. You're letting your kid stay with a grown man in a hotel and you're not there. Yeah or no? And I always get a hell no. It's all I need to know right there. 323-538-2423. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Oh, man, some of you texting in about social media. But, Chad, Twitter says they don't do any of those kind of things. Twitter investigates Twitter, and they say that they've done nothing wrong. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Had an election in 2016 where the loser got $3 million.
And that means get rid of the Electoral College and everybody.
You know, it's interesting. We touched on this yesterday, and most of you, not surprisingly, were against it. I even have several progressive listeners who I know listen, and we banter all the time. I like listening to your show. Chad, you're open-minded. And we were talking about this, and they're like, I'm not for it either. And it's funny, Marco Rubio tweeted something out today. It's like, it's funny that you guys want to scream about constitutional stuff, and you guys always want to change the Constitution that you guys find inconvenient, speaking of the people on the left. Look, I look at something like this as a perfect example of, they want to lower the voting age to 16. You've got, hey, let's get felons to vote in places. And I'm okay if a felon wants to go and try to reinstate themselves to vote. But you're doing this. Let me ask you, and it's the same thing. And yesterday somebody said, hey, if the Republicans had won the popular vote but lost this, would they have bitched? I don't know if the Republicans would have. I know Trump would have. But I don't know if the Republicans across the board, the average person, would have. I mean, most people don't even know. You talk about the Electoral College, they have no idea what you're talking about, right? So, which is, it's a very bizarre system when you step back and look at it. But when you start looking at some of these things, so you want, if I said today that all of the people that are coming here from other countries illegally were going to vote Republican, what do you think the left would do? If most of the people who are felons are getting the opportunity to vote again in places like Florida, and they are going to vote Republican, what do you think the left does? If most 16-year-olds are going to vote Republican, do you think they want to lower the age? It just feels like we're going to do all we can to stack the deck. And I'm all for more people getting involved in the political process. I never have a problem with that. But it just feels like this is the thing that we're trying to do, is we're trying to get it so there's a few states whose progressive ideas and popularity amongst the populism in those places who can control so much are going to have an opportunity to speak for the rest of the country. You've got Elizabeth Warren talking about it.
We can have national voting, and that means get rid of the Electoral College.
As a person who was more conservative than liberal, but not a progressive, when I lived in California, my votes counted for nothing. Nothing. Ever. I voted for a few Democrats here and there. I voted for a few libertarians. I voted for a few Republicans. But when it came to, like, perfect examples like presidency, never, right? Never going to happen. I mean, this last one, I didn't get it right either. I didn't vote for either of them. Voted for Kasich, so it didn't really matter. But but when it came to, like, even issues in a state that was uber progressive, and they're always trying to add taxes and fees and do things, even when you vote, like, no, I knew I was never going to win, but I didn't want things changed because I felt like, oh, and that's the issue. So you got Elizabeth Warren. I'm smart enough to realize, look, our founding fathers set this up for a reason. There was a battle. Hamilton and Jefferson battled. They absolutely battled. One wanted it to be about the big cities and the coast, if you will, at the time, controlling a lot of the conversation because that's where, and the other one said, no, we need to be a fair representation across the board. So you got Elizabeth Warren and now Beto.
It puts some states out of play altogether. They don't feel like their votes really count. So if we really want every person to vote and give them every reason to vote, we got to make sure their votes count and go to the candidate of their choosing. So I think there's a lot of wisdom in that.
No. Because what ends up happening, and as I was trying to explain to people yesterday, is You get a few big cities that will control a lot of what goes on. I was talking to Congressman Schweikert yesterday, and we were talking, it's like most Democratic voters live within a certain mileage, it's like it's 75 or 100 miles of the coast. And if you go and you look at the blue states, red states, you see how it is. So imagine this, because eventually you get this, it's going to get to a point where it will be a one-party rule. And we all knows what happens when one party rules, the other party suffers. And you can't have that. You need the balance of the two. You do. People in New York, California, elsewhere shouldn't speak for people in Texas or Cedar Rapids. We should have more. And I would be maybe even somewhat open to this, even though it's worked forever and a day, if I knew that states had more opportunity to actually do the things they were supposed to govern themselves without the feds always suing and playing the games along the way.
In fact, the Electoral College does not favor one party or other and hasn't in history. In 2012, for example, it favored the Democrats. If that election had been tied in the popular vote, Barack Obama still would have won. The Electoral College keeps the country from becoming a colony of California, Chicago, and New York.
Yeah, and that's the fear. That is the fear. It has worked forever and a day, and I still think it works. Could there be a better system out there? There may be a better system out there. Remember, we're a republic. Most democracy. Yeah, we're a democratic republic. Democracy, we have the opportunity to vote, but we're voting for, as I tried to explain yesterday, essentially what you're voting for is you're voting for the person that is going to be the person, the electoral person who is going to vote for the president. You're voting for the person who's voting for the president, and most of the states have inside of their constitution what? The state constitution says that whoever gets this, the most votes in the states will get the votes together. Right? That, and you vote that way. Have there been some in the past that have gone other ways? Yeah. Are there systems out there potentially that could be better? Yeah, I think there is. But just, hey, guess what? Everybody's votes counts, and we'll move from there, and we'll go on. And by the way, we're trying to also do this, this, and this. Wouldn't that be great? Do you want a one-party state like California to be the one-party country? That's the question I ask. I don't. California politics don't work outside of California. New York politics don't work outside of New York. Just doesn't. It doesn't. You need the balance. I don't want a one-party right side, and I don't want a one-party left side.
You would also create the potential of getting rid of two parties. You could have 25 parties if you want. You could win by plurality, not necessarily by a majority. There's a lot of problems with the idea of getting rid of the Electoral College. It's great for an applause line and for people who don't really understand why the Founding Fathers decided they wanted to have smaller states represented in certain ways and why we have a bicameral Congress. But in practicality, I think it would be a disaster, and it would take an enormous effort to change the Electoral College, including constitutionally.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And what they're trying to do now is several Democratic states have gotten together, and they put together a compact, which is essentially saying whoever gets the popular vote gets our electoral votes. So whoever gets the popular vote will get these. Now, there's an issue there where I laugh. First of all, they only have 181 of those, so they don't have the 270 you need to become president. So, and they just added Colorado, which is the first state that is purple. But that's kind of what they're trying to say is whoever gets the popular vote, even if this state maybe goes in a different direction, right? But the popular vote says it's this, then you'd have to give your votes to that person. They're doing all they can to get around it. It's constitutional. It would stand up because the states are allowed to do those kind of things. But our founding fathers had an idea, and it was...
First of all, we're a republic, not a democracy, and our founding fathers did that for a reason, because they didn't want the tyranny of the majority, which is what would happen if you went to a direct democracy vote. Now you have this movement where you have some states that are saying, well, we might have a proportional representation of our electoral votes. But there's a lot that would have to happen in order for that to change. Plus, you would need a constitutional amendment change to get rid of the Electoral College in the way that these people want to do it.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not. It's not. Understand why people think it should happen if you're on the left. But, she got the most votes. She should be president of the United States. We don't want the majority rules. There's a reason they set it up this way. It's worked and worked and worked and continues to do so. And if we were to shortchange it at this point in time because people are frustrated, they look around, the reality is it's not like, and this is I was explaining to somebody yesterday, it's not like Trump got 6 total votes and she got 65 million. No. And think about this. You take California out of the mix, and it looks completely different. Oh, yeah, I never thought of that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at me. So yesterday, we promised Jack if he got good grades, like really good grades, he's really mature for his age, even though he's kind of naive at times. He's, because I like the fact that he's still a little kid. But we promised him, we get you a phone if you did good, right? If you did really good. And we gave him something that was like, if you get straight A's, we'll get you a phone. He was just devastated because he got lots of A's, lots of B's. His grades were vastly improved. He get glowing remarks from every teacher and everything. And he was devastated. Because he worked so hard. He put in extra time. But one of the things I found so amazing, and this goes to show you, this teacher's like, well, I just never give A's. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you just never give A's? My son who is he's a ridiculous athlete. He got they give 4, 3, 2, and 1. He got a 2 in PE. Well, I give everybody that. And I'm like, well, that's not fair to him. So we got him a little phone last night. It wasn't and he was just over the moon. And I will say this, I got 55 text messages from him this morning and a phone call. And I was just laughing my butt off. And his mom said he turned the phone off and he put it back in its little box. But when you have teachers who say, I'm not giving, I had teachers like that in high school and junior high where you're not going to get an A in this class. I'm like, well, who says that? So if I got 100, well, not me. That's what I said one day. I said, well, if I got 100, because I was the one who argued the point. And I remember because my friend going to school, we'd grown up together. Her name was Morningstar. And she was the queen bookworm of everything. She got straight A's. And she always had a crush on me. She did my homework. And I appreciate that, Morningstar. Thank you so very much. You helped me get through a lot of stuff. But I remember I raised my hand and said, so wait a minute. So if I get 100 on everything, and I said, not me, but if she gets 100 on everything and she gets all this stuff, you don't. She goes, I only give B's. That's the highest you're going to get. I thought, well, that's just, who does that? Who does that? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of straight A's, you'll get that with Blink Camera. Absolutely amazing. When people are looking at your house, you want to know when they're looking at it, not when they're inside. That's too late. That's where Blink Camera comes in. They're absolutely amazing. On top of being able to look outside and see who could be looking into your home, they're also able to watch your porch, and you're able to view with their live stream what's going on inside the house. Easy to set up in minutes, wire-free. 2 lithium batteries, last up to 2 years, and that live feed option is incredible. I have extra cameras because I look at all my lizards, and I'm just an odd bird like that, but it makes me feel good, and because I travel so much, I like to know what's going on outside, and I have a lot of stuff delivered to the house, and because I'm a little addicted to Amazon, and I want to make sure so if something's there and I'm not there to get there in time, my neighbor can come pick it up. That's what's great about Blink. They're just incredible. No contracts, no subscriptions, totally affordable. In fact, Blink systems start at just $79.99. Thanks to Blink, home security just got so much easier. Visit blinkprotect.com/sale, blinkprotect.com/sale, blinkprotect.com/sale. Blink is an Amazon company, and it works with Alexa. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Irreverent? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
cannabis confections are all the rage now that CBD oil is increasing in popularity, and the creator of One Sugary Snack is jumping on the bandwagon. David Klein founded Jelly Belly jelly beans back in Belleville, Illinois in 1976. Well, his new company offers gourmet jelly beans, sugar-free jelly beans, and sour jelly beans that have about 10 milligrams of CBD inside each bean.
Oh, man. And quite popular, by the way, the CBD-infused everything. Gummies, Jelly Bellies, all kinds of stuff. And this is, look, it is coming. It is coming. And I know there's a lot of people out there, Ben Carson, a lot of people, look, anything you do before the age of whatever it is, for some times it's 12, depending on certain things, sports in certain areas and what you're doing with physicality and the potential to hurt your brain. Any of those things that you do young could potentially stunt and hurt your brain, your body, your brain, the whole 9 yards. But the reality is we look at something like marijuana. I think it's ridiculous that is the way it is, the way that it even became a Schedule A drug. All of this stuff is a joke. It's time that we legalize. It's time that we find out the things that we can do that can potentially be used for good. We're seeing it in so many ways. I've had so many friends and family members who use it to do all kinds of things, including relieve pain.
We checked this morning, and their online stock is currently, you might have guessed it, sold out. The oil won't make you high, but is said to relieve anxiety, insomnia, depression, and seizures.
Yeah, that's huge. Huge. I'm trying to get my mom to use it for my little brother Spencer, who is on phenobarbital, speaking of a drug, and several other medicines because he has so many seizures. I'm trying to get her to use these CBDs because of what it can. And I think there was a thing called Charlotte strain, which is absolutely, if you ever want to see what this thing can do, go look at that and tell me that there's not some use for these things. And we've got to figure out a way to stop being ridiculous namby-pambies about, oh my God, it's the marijuana. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you kids. Okay. MyPillow. They got everything, but they got sheets. Oh, these things are amazing. I like to get into comfortable sheets. I slide into them. You know when a good sheet's a good sheet. You like to do those kind of things. It's amazing. They've got Giza sheets, all right? This is Giza cotton sheets. This cotton is grown only in a small area in the Mediterranean Sea, just a very small little area. It is so smooth. It's breathable. And as the summer starts to arrive, it's going to keep you very cool. It is so amazing. And the deep pockets, they're going to fit your bed. Absolutely incredible. Over any bed. Away it goes. I love them. You're going to love it. Try these things, and you're going to say you'd spend a lot more money and then some trying to get sheets of this quality and this feel. Trust me. It is absolutely incredible. 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by their warranty. Here's what I want you to do. Check them out for yourself. Giza cotton sheets at MyPillow. Go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. That's MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Or call 800-983-4975. 800-983-4975. You're going to love these things. They are absolutely amazing. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. So much, kids. So much that we're doing. Check all of our social media sites out, thechadshow.com, Facebook, and everything else. See what's going on. Grab yourself your podcast as well. It's The Chad Benson Show.
This is The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's The Chad Benson Show.
You had an election in 2016 where the loser got $3 million.
And that means get rid of the Electoral College.
It is funny, right? Like, so you want to get rid of the Electoral College, right? The Democrats want to get rid of that. I am not for that. Even if Trump would have got the popular vote, or Kasich, who I voted for, would have got the popular vote, and Hillary got the enough Electoral College votes to get through, I would not want to do that. I just don't. I don't, because I know what will happen eventually. It's not about mob rule. It's not. It's about equal representation across the board. And I don't think people understand that. And if there's a better way to do it, then let's find that better way. But just saying, well, we'll just let this happen. She won, I think, California by 4.3 million votes. You take that out, Trump wins the popular vote, too. So why would you go anywhere else? And they all want to get rid of it. They all want to just, it's time, right? There's a few. Andrew Yang, who's running for president of the United States, for those you don't know, he's one of these 748 people who's running for president on the left-hand side, does not want to, doesn't think it represents America. But the reality is, I tried to point out yesterday, what you're going to find is a small area between 3 or 4 big cities in this country will eventually be the only thing that matters. That will not be representation across the nation. It will be just a small area, and people will govern to and for that area only.
In fact, Electoral College does not favor one party or other and hasn't in history. In 2012, for example, it favored the Democrats. If that election had been tied in the popular vote, Barack Obama still would have won. The Electoral College keeps the country from becoming a colony of California, Chicago, and New York.
Yeah, which would all be for the Democrats. Let's be real, right? It would all be for the Democrats. So you'd be having California, New York, Chicago essentially run everything. Really, L.A. and New York being the ones that run it all. And I ask everybody this. Does that politics play anywhere else in the country well? I don't think it does. I think you move California, New York politics to other places in the Midwest, and you find out that that doesn't play the way there that they think it plays. In mid-level, midtown America, it doesn't. And the culture clash that's going on, because people on the left coast, people on the East Coast, they look out there and what they see is they think everybody who they fly over is essentially a moron. Simpletons, 5 years behind the fashion, still have no idea what Netflix is, and dates their sister. It works. It's worked for a while, right, Tucker?
It demonstrates that America is
Racist.
a union of equal states, not a collection of provinces that revolve around a few powerful cities. The Electoral College also discourages the rise of factional parties that dominate only a small portion of the country. We could go on. But the best argument for keeping the Electoral College is pretty simple. For 230 years, it has worked better than any other country's systems in history.
Yeah. And if we find something better, I'm not opposed to something better if we find it that's going to give a representation for everybody across the board. But if L.A., San Francisco, and Manhattan are it, then what? What does that do for everybody else? Why would you even go anywhere else? If you can win those cities and win those states, you've won it all. You don't need anything else. You don't. Well, yeah. You don't. Well, Chad, that means every vote seems to, it seems in the way that people are paying it, your vote matters. Having grown up and lived in California, and I voted with the left sometimes on certain issues and for a few candidates. I voted for right for a few candidates. But I knew at times that my vote was never going to matter in a place like California. It just wasn't. It wasn't, especially when it comes to issues. But I didn't want things changed. You know, now you're talking about, okay, we're going to let felons vote in Florida. If a felon wants to go petition on their own to get their voting rights back, I got no problem with it. And I think that we need to relook at the way that we do things, especially when it comes to incarceration and releasing of people and getting them back out there, understanding that they're going to be in society. So how do we make their transition to society a fruitful one so it doesn't cost us potential crimes and victims in the future, but also doesn't cost us money in the future? But who do you think most of those people are going to vote for? Democrats. You want to lower the age to 16? Who do you think they're going to vote for, right? Democrats. Anything else you'd like? Anybody else? Well, we'd love it if we could get people here who are here illegally to vote, and we're trying our hardest to figure out how we go and do something like that, but we just really haven't been able to pinpoint that thing down. Just like they say, if the Republicans would have won the popular vote and lost the electoral vote, they'd be screaming. I don't think it's the way that a lot of their people are talking about, that they would be screaming that we should change it. But I will tell you this, if that's the way you feel, if you think that's the truth, then if felons and 16-year-olds and people that are here illegally were to vote Republican, do you think the Democrats would be saying, let's get them the vote? No. The Electoral College is set up in a way that our founding fathers thought this is the best thing moving forward for us to have representation across the country. And the fact that we're talking about it today, and it's not going to happen, by the way. You're not going to get constitutionalized. It's just not going to happen. There's too much that goes through it. But the fact that they're even talking about stuff like that, even talking about so many other things, they want to change the court. Maybe we should add more. And I've said all along, and I've been saying for the last year, you're worried about something that in theory you could just go out and do. But the fact that they're talking about shows you that, look, they want to do everything to stack it. We need two parties in this country. I would like a solid third party. Doesn't have to be a dominant party, but enough that may bridge the gap, that make people work together a little bit more, because I think we're so tribal now that we need almost that somewhat referee, somebody who can speak both languages, if you will. But the reality is if we don't have a solid two-party system, we could be screwed.
You would also create the potential of getting rid of two parties. You could have 25 parties if you want. You could win by plurality, not necessarily by a majority. There's a lot of problems with the idea of getting rid of the Electoral College. It's great for an applause line and for people who don't really understand why the founding fathers decided they wanted to have smaller states represented in certain ways and why we have a bicameral Congress. But in practicality, I think it would be a disaster, and it would take an enormous effort to change the Electoral College, including constitutionally.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. It's not. But everybody's going to do their best. And they're going to do the best they can to try to figure out a way that they can. And I don't like the idea of it. It's not going to happen. It's just not. It's like 16-year-olds aren't going to vote, right? They're just not. It's not going to vote. It's not going to. Hell, they made fun of themselves the other day saying, no, we shouldn't be able to vote. One of them said, I was reading a tweet that says, we should be raising the age, not lowering the age. But it is wacky. But if you think the popular vote, people on the left think the popular vote is the way to go, and then if it would have happened to the Republicans, where they would have won the popular vote and lost the electoral vote, they'd be screaming for it. I throw this back at you. If all of these people were going to vote Republican instead of Democrat, what would you do then? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You know, the world of wackiness that we live in this day and age is, you just sit here and you laugh. Kellyanne Conway and her husband, for those of you who don't know, he is not a fan of Trump. And this is, look, Trump does stuff that drives me crazy, right? And he tweeted incessantly over the weekend. Just was nonstop. What are you tweeting about? Just all kinds of stuff. And her husband, George Conway, is just, all he does is troll Trump and talk about how insane he is. So she has to go home at night and talk about that. And she was asked yesterday, hey, your husband doesn't really like president.
Your husband has been tweeting his concerns about the president's mental fitness for office. Are those concerns that you share, or how do you deal with?
No, I don't share those concerns. And I have 4 kids, and I was getting out of the house this morning before I got here and talked to the president about substance. So I may not be up to speed on all of them.
Oh, not up to speed on all of them at all. Not up to speed on any of those things that are going on. And you sit back and you think to yourself, okay, what would happen if they asked Trump about Kellyanne Conway's husband. Now, remember, she goes home at night, looks at her husband, George. I love you, George. And he's like, I love you too. Your boss is nuts. She goes to work in the day. He's like, you're my confidant. You've been with me since the start. You're a huge, vital part of what we do. By the way, your husband.
It's a whack job.
What is he?
It's a whack job.
Are you sure? How do you feel about her husband? Be honest with me. I just want it straight from your mouth.
It's a whack job.
Now, come on. What is he?
It's a whack job.
That's what he said today. But I don't really know him. Yesterday, Trump goes after John McCain again. Somebody asked the question about John McCain, and he says,
I was never a fan of John McCain, and I never will be.
Some of the stuff, he's his own drama in a lot of ways. And look, I respect the hell out of John McCain, right? And the service to his country. And I like the fact that he was a maverick at one time. And then towards the end, he was anything but a maverick. And I'm not quite sure. I think like a lot of politicians, he got disillusioned with the entire process itself and why he got into it and what it ended up becoming and how it's become this cesspool of craziness and special interest. But that's personal. Like, that's all personal. That is. Where Trump should come out and say is, look, I respect all the things that John McCain did for our country, but I don't like him. You don't have to like somebody. You could say, I respect the hell out of so-and-so. I played soccer with guys who I thought I admire the hell out of their work ethic, their skills. He's a horrible human being. I don't like him. I don't like who he is, and he didn't like me. Right? You can do that. But he doesn't. And he says stuff like, oh, I only like people who don't get caught. And then it ends up continuing to be an ugly, nasty thing. And you dig yourself into a situation where the 24-hour news cycle comes about you in a comment rather than talking about, like, I don't know, the economy being good. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Powerball's $550 million if you win, sir.
For how long you can lie on the beach? Maybe a couple hours. That's it, enough. Then you get burned.
So only two hours on the beach for that guy. Then he's back to work doing whatever. $550 million tonight. This is when I was telling Phil, I'm like, when do we get involved, Phil? Do we get involved now? I feel like now, when you get to 550, that's when you're like, all right, we got to get involved. That changes your life. I mean, it's not $1 billion, but after tax and everything, you're probably walking with a good $170. That's good money right there, kids. Just the interest alone, you're going to be living a dream. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter, tweet at us. Lightstream, speaking of interest rates. You probably haven't even looked at your credit card interest rates. They're probably through the roof, and you don't want to look at them because you'd be like, oh, my God. You want to know how you start doing the right thing financially and even start building wealth? The first thing you do is pay down your credit cards to virtually nothing. You put them, you get it consolidated at a perfect rate. That alone will save you huge money. It's great. That's where Lightstream comes in. They're amazing. They're incredible. You can refinance your high interest rate credit cards for as little as 6.14% APR with autopay. That's fixed. It's never going to go up. You can get a loan from $5,000 to $100,000, no fees, and in some cases, you can even get your money as soon as the day you apply. Boom! You've got good credit. You deserve great service. That's what they're all about. Low interest rates, fixed rate loans from Lightstream. That's lending uncomplicated right there. And here's what they're doing for my listeners right there. It's an additional interest rate discount. The only way to get this is to go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's LIGHTSTREAM.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rates includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson, Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
The frightening new details are from the first 737 MAX crash, Lion Air, in Indonesia.
According to individuals with knowledge of the cockpit voice recorder, the pilots struggled with their quick reference handbook, a checklist for abnormal events, and they simply ran out of time. The day before, a crew on that same jet did shut off the anti-stall system, which was the problem. But it was reportedly a pilot riding along in the jump seat, according to Bloomberg, who had to point out the correct procedure.
That sounds like training issues to me. If you need somebody else to tell you how to fly something, it sounds like you're not up to snuff on what's going on. And that goes back to, did Boeing and the FAA rushed these things through, and that's what people are going to be looking at.
The investigators from Europe, the U.S., are in Ethiopia working on the black box from the second crash to determine if there actually is a connection between these two 737 MAX crashes. And here in the United States, the Department of Transportation has ordered a review of the certification of the aircraft, and Captain Sully Sullenberger has now weighed in, saying he believes the relationship between the FAA and Boeing is too cozy.
Yeah, well, that's crony capitalism right there. When people have power, the people that want some of what they have will go and court them. And when you have jobs and you have lobbyists, you get crony capitalism. I don't think Boeing wanted any of this, but if the reality is that these people had trouble flying the plane and that it was outsmarting them, if you will, then is that a training issue? And did Boeing not do enough to train them? Or is that on their federal aviation in their countries? I don't know. And that's the question that they're going to be digging out of over the next coming weeks and months. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. A lot of stuff, kids. A lot of stuff, including, you naughty high school kids.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
He deserves it. I mean, if you're going to spend that kind of dough on anybody, that would be the guy to spend it on, I think. What he's done, the years that he's had, and I happen to be walking by the TV, his war, being what it is at his age compared to, I guess it's from 2009 to present time, his war exceeds everybody else in the game, and he didn't start playing until 2011. That's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Crazy. Talking about Mike Trout yesterday signing a contract, $430 million over 12 years, works out to about $36 million a year. So it would be worth more than that with incentives. It shatters, just doesn't beat the record. 18 days, Bryce Harper held the record for being the highest paid athlete in America, in North America, $330 million. He just shattered this. Crazy, right? I read 4 or 5 articles last night because I got a bunch of people texting me because I talked a bit about it yesterday. You're an idiot. It's just a game. It's da-da-da. I read 4 or 5 articles last night from everything from Forbes to NBC Sports, ESPN saying that's a bargain. That is a bargain. He could have got $600 million and it still probably wouldn't be. And people are like, how can you say that? The local money in baseball is so massive. But to get that, you have to pay that. They're making $3 billion over the next 20 years just in money locally, the Angels of Anaheim. That's it. They're going to make $3 billion locally. So he's getting like 12% of that. And the reason they're getting that $3 billion is because of guys like him. Yeah. Great money. Well, we could pay teachers like that. Oh, please, get over yourself. I want teachers to make a good wage, but can a teacher hit a cutter? No. There's one of him and lots of other people that can do other jobs, right? There's one of him. And arguably, at the rate he's going, in 15 years, we'll be saying, we just saw the greatest baseball players ever walk the face of the earth. If he continues the way he's going, every number points to that. So maybe he is a bargain at $430 million, which is nuts to say. It's crazy to say. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Now, guys, we're going to be honest here. As men, right? As men who were one-time boys, we've done dumb things when it comes to girls and their appearance and how we talk amongst ourselves, which is childish and immature. We get it. And based on today, it is not woke. But these kids went a step further.
It's dismissal time at Bethesda Chevy Chase High School. Several students stopped to talk to us about a letter that just went home. A group of boys disciplined for ranking girls on social media based on their appearance.
I think, honestly, the consensus was that it wasn't an okay thing at all, and all the girls, they kind of banded together and took it on as a team because it was really hurtful to a lot of people.
School officials say the boys targeted 18 senior girls with their first names and a rating beside it.
Okay, so they rated girls. So they're rating girls based on their looks, which is so childish. We all know that. We know it is childish, right? We can all agree it is immature, it is wrong, it is horrible. How did they find out?
Those ratings were used to rank the girls, the results shared online. The school called this bullying. Do you see it that way?
Completely. It is bullying. It was harassment.
The school system issued a statement saying, quote, "This incident has been very upsetting for students, staff, and families. BCC High School has no tolerance for bullying."
No, they have no tolerance for bullying. I don't know if it's bullying, right? And I've got my take on it. I'm going to give it to you. I just want you guys to get this, soak it up, right? When I was a kid growing up, a little bit older than a kid, there was in Lakewood, California, there was the Spur Posse. Now, theirs was a little bit different. They ranked girls based on things that they would do. And it got to the point where it was such a national story. I believe they were on with Oprah talking about this is just looks. And we live in a world where, my God, is it still exists? Let's see. Hot or not.com. Is hot or not still exist? Yeah, they still got it. We live in a world of swipe right, swipe left. So everybody take a deep breath.
Be good people, be good humans, and see what your actions can do to others, because it definitely tore a lot of girls down.
The boys involved were disciplined, and school officials did not say how many were involved and what action was taken.
They might not see it as a big deal, but since they're disciplined by this, I feel like they're learning the lesson.
It shouldn't matter how you look because, inside, all of us are beautiful in our own way. So, you shouldn't really worry about what people say about you.
Shut up. You and I both know this. All right, now let's live in the world of reality. Here's the harsh reality. It does matter how you look. It does, right? People who are better looking are perceived to be smarter. There's a perception issue, and it does matter in a lot of ways how you look in life. It shouldn't. I know it shouldn't. All that should matter is what's on the inside. Oh, but it does. Let's be honest. Right? There is a sense of that. And you know who's pissed about this? Now, Phil, follow me here and see if you know who's pissed about this? The people who they ranked as I don't know how they ranked them, but weren't ranked very high. They're probably upset and hurt. But I guarantee you the girls that were like, oh, they ranked me at 10? Yeah.
The ones who are not classically attractive is what you're saying?
Yes. The ones who are not classically attractive were probably pissed off and angry and went to mom and dad, and I will say, if you're ranking these girls, chances are you're friends with them. And if you're friends with them, chances are you think they're kind of cute. And I can guarantee you the girls that were hurt the most were the girls who weren't ranked and the ones who weren't ranked high. Yeah, I know. Why? Because that's vanity. That's humanity. If somebody says, Chad, I rank you as a 10, and as long as that's 10 out of 10, I'm like, nice. I don't say that's bullying. If they say you're a 3, I'm like, maybe I need to work on myself. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we should take all a chance to work on ourselves. That's because there's vanity in that. What do you think? What do you think young adolescent they're past their prepubescent and they're now in the full rages and throes of wacky hormones, battling it out on the inside, crashing into one another, and all of this stuff's going on, and they're walking around going, oh my God, look at her butt. What do you think? What they did was stupid. Yes, that right there. But it goes on. As a grown-ass man at 48. Yeah. You know it. Stop. So it's just this, we're always wanting to, what should matter is what happens on the inside. I get that. And we should care about that. Makes you even more attractive. But if you're across the room and I've never talked to you, I'm not looking over and going, I bet she's sweet on the inside. You're like, damn, she looks hot. That's what you do. It matters. I know it sounds horrible, but can we just be honest? And these kids, people are like, well, there was bullying. It was this, there. I guarantee the people that are pissed off the most are the people who weren't ranked very high, if they were ranked at all. And the girls are going home and the moms are like, can you believe this happened in your school? And you're like, yeah, they ranked me at 10. I know it's bad, but on the inside, they're like, yes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of rankings and numbers and whatnot, according to a new study, you're not an adult until you're 30 years old. That's what they're saying. They're saying that scientists are looking at this and saying your brain is still maturing, things are still firing off, things are still trying to come together at 18. Now you can join the army, you can vote, you can in some places you can drink, you can do all of these things, and they classify you as an adult. So if you do something wrong, you are an adult. But your brain, they say, doesn't fully mature until your late 20s, and in many cases until you're 30 plus is when it reaches its maturity level. So they said, think of the system as adapting along the way, right? And as it adapts and continues to change, like they said, like a caterpillar, it's turning into its butterfly, if you will, and that doesn't happen fully until it makes that full metamorphosis into change and transformation until probably your late 20s, early 30s. And then we wonder why, we should let kids vote when they're 12, 9. Here's something for you. I was laughing about this. I was telling Phil, I was looking at Disneyland today. Just the prices. And Disney, for those of you guys who don't know, Disney, hi, everybody. Slow down, Mickey. I didn't call you in here. All right. By the way, congratulations on buying Fox. I know. So excited. Woo! So, and I want to see how that goes with Family Guy. I was making fun of Walt Disney for hating, the Jewish people, if you will. The expense of going to Disney is insane. And apparently when you're 10, plus you're officially an adult in Disney's eyes, so they can charge you those adult prices. So, boom, there you go. Maybe they should measure it based on the rides. When I was a kid, I don't know if any of you guys were ever there in like the 70s and the 80s. At one time, and Phil, you've been to Disney World or Disneyland?
I have never been to either one.
Well, when I was a child, and you really need to just go once in your life to say, oh, this is what it's all about. There used to be the joke about the e-ticket. Ooh, that's an e-ticket ride. Because it used to be virtually nothing, if anything, to get into Disney. You had to purchase like coupons, and then you would go and you'd say, oh, it's an e-ticket. So I've got one e-ticket left. If I want another e-ticket ride, so the e-ticket ride might have been like Space Mountain. And then it got to the point where you could buy you could spend a bunch of money and get like an unlimited pass. You can go on everything, or you could still buy the coupon things. And now it's just that. It's so expensive. But 10 years old is when you're an adult now, according to Disney. That's right. 10 years old, kids. 10 years old. Ha ha ha. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. Somebody just tweeted at me, Chad, that's wrong what you said about those boys. They should be punished. What's the punishment for them? That young boys who are in their 17, 18-year-old age range, 16, 17, 18, find 16, 17, 18-year-old girls attractive and rate them? And as if they did this, they weren't going to do that in their head anyways? Get over yourself. And yes, those girls that found out that they were on the top of the list, I can guarantee you, as a human being, they were like, cool. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, CarShield is amazing. Car repairs can be expensive. Sometimes things go wrong with your car, and you're trying to do everything you can to keep that thing going. But eventually you take it in and you know it's going to be costly. And the next thing you know, we struggle in this country just to pay a basic bill if there's an emergency. Don't let that be you. Get CarShield. Go to carshield.com. Check out all the plans they have. Find the one that's right for you. Make sure you use my code Benson. When you do, that'll save you 10%. With CarShield, you get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop, and that shop is the shop that you choose, so that job's going to get done the way that you want it to get done, not the way that other people want it to get done, just so they can get you out of their hair. Nope. You pay a small deductible. CarShield take care of the rest. Get yourself some protection. Get CarShield. That's what I did. It's extended vehicle protection like no other out there. Go to carshield.com. Use code Benson. That's carshield.com, code Benson. Or call 800-CAR-6100. Use code Benson. Saves you 10%. 800-CAR-6100. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Got that sniffling, sneezing, stuffy head thing going on? Time for your daily dose of Vitamin Chad.
The sound of college basketball will echo through office buildings and across factory floors right up until the final on April 8th. Supervisors can either shut down March Madness or
they participate in the March Madness so they can get something out of that,
says Bobby Albert, who advises companies on workplace culture.
If their people are having fun, they'll be more productive, and therefore they'll make me more money.
There you go, which is good. How do you get a job where you get to advise people on workplace culture? Doesn't that seem like a cool job? What do? I go around and talk about how the culture in here should be better. And then I put it in a report, and you pay me $10,000 to do that. Wow, that's a great job. I know, right? I scammed a bunch of people doing that. But I do like what he says here, because we're going to lose a lot of productivity. Billions of dollars in productivity is going to be lost starting tomorrow because of March Madness, and everybody participates. I mean, even around here, everybody's doing something around here. They don't watch college basketball, they don't watch sports, but they're participating because it's fun.
Encouraging employees to wear their college colors or allowing them to watch some of the men's basketball tournament can help to build esprit de corps.
By the way, why is it only the men's basketball tournament, huh? Doesn't that feel a little sexist? It's because the women's basketball tournament's awful.
But Albert says bosses also need to set some boundaries.
We got to be very careful about the level of noise and disruption and to discuss these games at reasonable times.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. It's going to always, people are going to go crazy. They're going to go fun. They're going to go nuts. They're going to have a good time. And yeah, and you should know, like, you shouldn't have to tell people these things, like, but a younger generation doesn't quite get it, right? And they said that millennials in particular are going to be the biggest group of people paying attention to these, and they are more likely than any other group to call in sick when their team is playing and to miss a day of work or a meeting or fall behind on something.
A survey of thousands of business owners, middle managers, and decision makers finds that nearly a quarter of professionals plan to watch some portion of the tournament during work hours. 76% of the men in those offices will participate in pools, 65% of women. Even as a team-building event, studies suggest March Madness will cost American productivity $6 billion this year.
Whoa, yabba dabba, what? Yeah, $6 billion. Right there, $6 billion in productivity. $6 billion. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Somebody just tweeted at me and said, Chad, what those boys did was wrong, but you're absolutely correct. And I was telling Phil, so you got these kids who ranked all these girls based on their look in high school. It's like 18 girls, not all of these girls. And I said, the reason they're not in more trouble, like one kid got an in-school suspension, but the reason they're not more in trouble is I guarantee you all of these girls were probably the prettiest girls at the school. So there wasn't like, oh, Bertha's disgusting. She smells. It wasn't, it was all, they probably were all 8s, 9s, and 10s. So that's probably one of the reasons why one kid got an in-school suspension for a day and the other kids got a talking to. That's, I would go with that right there. Speaking of the youngsters, remember Jelly Bellies?
Cannabis confections are all the rage now that CBD oil is increasing in popularity, and the creator of One Sugary Snack is jumping on the bandwagon. David Klein founded Jelly Belly jelly beans back in Belleville, Illinois in 1976. Well, his new company offers gourmet jelly beans, sugar-free jelly beans, and sour jelly beans that have about 10 milligrams of CBD inside each bean.
Inside each bean. Yeah, that's big right there. That's huge. This industry is going to explode, and the opportunities are going to be huge. And get on the bandwagon early. Don't be late to it, and don't freak out about it. And for seizures, for things like that, I want to see them do real research and see what these things can do, because I think it's going to be massive. But Jelly Bellies, you got gummies, you've got butter, you've got peanut butter, you've got all kinds of stuff. And it's not weed. You do have that, but a lot of these things like this will help with pain and anxiety. It's I'm not saying it's a miracle, but I'm saying where the future may be is real. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us your amazing fact of the day. Japan letting a sumo wrestler make your baby cry is considered good luck. Got you over the hump. That's what we do. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.